First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by WeatherRate, sponsored by AC Designs.
We are rocking out a Sunday, the Sunday after one of the nicest Georgia-Florida games. No matter who you're rooting for, it was a win-win yesterday here. And, you know, we were talking about this game going on since the 1930s. I said, you know what, this is going to be one of the best ones on record. You know, a lot of folks, we were talking by the tents yesterday, had a tent down here downtown. We're talking about all the different big games between Florida and Georgia. And we're bringing back weather memories of all of the crazy weather we've had during these weekends. One weekend, I remember we were doing special coverage here at First Coast News. I believe it was the early 90s. We had like 3-4 inches of rain. There was flooding. I had to get on the intercom and say, move your car. Because that's back when we had the big flood. Whenever you got a big gully washer here downtown, you know, you would have water up halfway up your car. And then, yeah, we look at this picture outside. I want to thank our director, Katrina, for calling this up. And it's a picture of peace and perfect, isn't it? A few fair weather clouds out there. You know, it looks quiet, and it's going to stay quiet. Now, the funny part is I've been fighting with these models really since last Thursday, Friday, yeah. Really, Wednesday came in. Some models were indicating maybe we'd have enough for an actual weather impact, like beneficial rain with our next cold front. But as we look at the latest data here, my goodness, yeah, I didn't go for it. We didn't put a weather impact alert in place in that 7-day for a reason. The air is too dry. But if you look at some changes out there, we've got 69 officially here at First Coast News at our thermometer. The dew point's up. All right, I'm saying, oh my goodness. Okay, so maybe the model on Wednesday, Thursday was correct. But no, as we look at the experience of living here and what a meteorologist like looking at here, not just the low-level moisture or the actual true humidity about 5-6 feet high. We're looking at 10,000 feet, 20,000 feet, and we are not seeing much in the way of moisture. It's just like bone dry in the atmosphere. So don't let that relative humidity fool you at 75%. And then we have a northeast wind right now at 4. Let's take a look. Let's get to some of what I'm looking at. You know, a lot of folks focusing in on the extra hour of sleep, and I love my sleep. And I'm focusing on the extra hour of beauty out there because we've got a wonderful finish to our weekend. That side, you see the beautiful St. Johns River? That was my view yesterday heading to the big game. Okay, so it was the first time I've ever gotten to take a boat to the game. I found a friend with a boat. I want to thank Russ, Amy, Karen, oh my goodness, just the whole crew was with us, and it was full of folks. The hardest part was finding a place to dock. So, we missed the traffic, but then you got to find a place to dock the boat, but it worked out. It wasn't bad. We docked out toward the Main Street Bridge, and then there's a little place where you can let some of our crewmates off a little closer to where the new Four Seasons is going to be. And then on the right, of course, Brenda, my all-star weather watcher. We've got like 50 of them. We got so many great weather watchers here on the First Coast. So we got our First Coast News weather watchers, and that was our view this morning. It just was incredible. In fact, instead of being in the dark this morning, that extra hour of sleep, all right, when we turn the clocks back, brings in the sunrises earlier, and we were not complaining. Okay, we loved it. Now tonight, when it gets dark a little earlier, you may be seeing, oh, I missed my light, but hey, just keep your eyes on the prize. We live in a beautiful place, and we're gonna have plenty of sunshine this winter. In fact, the countdown is on. Okay, Veterans Day is 9 days away here at First Coast News. You know what we do? We get involved with our community, which makes us special. I think that connection, not just with each other here at First Coast News. We're like a big family, but we extend our family here to yours. So Veterans Day, of course, Canines for Warriors. We do that every year, and just such a great cause, and we'll be definitely helping that cause, and of course, saluting our veterans. And it's hard to believe it's 9 days away. All right, and then we have Thanksgiving. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. 25 days away, and I'm looking forward to my English family coming to visit. The British are coming. The British are coming, oh my. And what's great is they don't celebrate Thanksgiving in England, so you kind of, as parents of a daughter that lives over there, it works out really well, yes. And then, of course, Christmas Day, we got 53 days, and I'm looking at some of these long-range maps. So on sunny days, we don't just picnic here at First Coast News. Our weather team looks ahead, and I'm looking at the next 1 to 2 months. And I'm a fan of some of the cooler weather. I was really enjoying the cool weather in October, and I was saying, okay, maybe this is a good sign for our seasons. But I'm starting to see a big change in the pattern we're going to talk about here today on the streaming show. So if you're joining me, maybe pull up a sandwich here. We got some football coming on. Our Jaguars aren't until 4 o'clock. We're going to talk about some changes and what you can expect for the holidays. Right now, I'm leaning toward the warmer and the drier. I know it could literally be warmer on Thanksgiving than it was for our Halloween. You know, Halloween was actually one of our 10 top coldest Halloweens as far as temperatures where it started. I'm not seeing that right now so far for the holidays. Things could change in December, but right now, October, I'm leaning warm, okay, and dry. So as we look at today, there's our dry, and yeah, temperature-wise, a little cooler than normal still. So that warm is still setting in this week. So really the next couple of days will still be a little below average of where we should be this time of year. So you could still, this is going to get you in the Christmas spirit and the holiday spirit. You can go to Harvest and Holly out at the yards, Ponte Vedra. Folks are going to do some extra holiday shopping a little early this year. You know what? I need to finally get out there and not procrastinate for once. Okay, I like shopping to the last minute. And we take a look, just gorgeous weather, light northeast wind. There will be a few more clouds. In fact, looking at the skies, Katrina, we've got some really good news for folks heading out to the beach, right? We've got that beautiful view of the beach out there. And it's really just a day where you can take it all in. We got the beautiful Florida sunshine, still a little bit of crispness to the atmosphere. Thank you. There it is. Beautiful look there. And you got the Seawalk Pavilion, right? And one of my favorite spots to run. I like running. I'll take a turn to the left to the north and then back through the pier area and then just the south to South Jacks Beach. So our runner index, of course, was a 10 out of 10. But just a sparkling day. I mean, we are just enjoying this. And as you're heading out to the beaches or maybe going to Harvest and Holly, it is looking wonderful for the rest of your afternoon. In fact, coming back to some models here, our Sunday grill cast, one of my favorite things to do. I think Julie may have some chicken wings. She may have gotten some wings. I need to get out there. Maybe we'll put some special mesquite out in that grill. Okay, we take a look at 75 at 4 o'clock. So if you look at the little legend, I've got fired up, caution, order delivery. Now, we're not ordering out tonight. We got to fire up the grill. Well, maybe folks like some pizza with their football, so maybe that would be it. But if you're a griller, it's going to be great. 66 degrees. That 30% chance of rain, yeah, that's a little high, I think, but I had to put it in there, and let's take a look at why. But we look at today's highs. We got 75 Jacksonville to Placa, 74 McClenny, and low to mid-70s all the way to St. Augustine, 71 St. Simons to Jekyll Island. What a beautiful day here as we look at everybody. Now, here's the deal. Futurecast, we've got this big area of moisture in the Gulf, okay? And then we got this front coming our way tonight. And again, some of the models just 24 hours ago, 36 hours ago, we're saying, yeah, 70, 80% chance. I said, no, we don't have agreement. I don't like what I'm seeing with the dry air in the mid and upper levels. So let's put Futurecast. This is one of our newer models in today. Still showing a lot of rain in the Gulf. I'm watching you. Sunday's been quite a challenge for all meteorologists in this area. It seems like every Sunday, nature tries to rain on our parade. Let's take a look. Okay, we get toward 5, 6, 7, 8. Up. See how it just kind of dried up? So we had all those showers and thunderstorms in the Gulf, and then it moved into our dry air and just kind of fizzled out. So for me, putting the forecast together today, I said maybe an evening shower as that front comes through later tonight. In fact, in Atlanta, for folks driving today, there will be a round of showers. I think the heaviest showers, again, will be more scattered for North Georgia and if you're traveling northward today. But here closer to home, by the time you get to Macon southward, I'm not seeing much rain. You see much rain? See those low percentages there? Okay. And then we wake up tomorrow, and again, models were trying to tell me, I'd see 1, 2, 3, trying to tell me, we may have to warn people about rain. No. We're not going to be doing that. Okay, so looking at the latest data, again, that just big block of dry air that gave us one of our most beautiful Florida, Georgia weekends is really just knocking this front out. It's going to come through. You're going to feel much cooler tomorrow. We can get out our fall sweaters and boots, but again, don't expect the rain. You can see near 0% chance of rain at 9 o'clock in the morning. Jacksonville to Tampa to Miami, we've got a beautiful day, even down towards South Florida as that front moves through. And as we go into Monday afternoon, looking good getting to work and school. So I'm going to be on GMJ. I love waking up with you every day again, and we're going to talk about that bike to school forecast because it's a day. But the kids will need an extra layer. There's going to be a little bit of a chill, a west-northwest wind switching out of the north at about 10 to 20 miles per hour at times. So you will feel cool. Tomorrow will be the coolest day of the week, all right? So keep that in mind. Tuesday, winds switch out of the northeast. And then that's really around an area high pressure moving in. So here's our forecast rainfall. Okay, most of your rain, I said Atlanta northward. That includes areas of Knoxville, Tennessee, up toward UT, and then out toward areas of Nashville. But the Carolinas, toward Cape Hatteras, Raleigh, seeing the most. And then late week for my friends and family in Missouri, Columbia, you could get a little bit of rain there on the increased late week. But notice for us here in Florida, where you see that rain toward Miami and South Florida, that's actually tropical moisture, something we haven't talked about much in Florida for quite some time. I mean, we've had one nor'easter after another, one front after another. That's part of the pattern change I'm starting to see. This is not tropical trouble, so let's take a pause on that. But this is more, hey, we're going to warm up, and there's going to be more humid weather, especially for South and Central Florida, and that will be enough to touch off some showers. And for us, yeah, we're still in North Florida, so we're not seeing the deep tropical moisture. So let's look at this. So as you look at the purple colors, that's the dryer in the atmosphere. That's why I'm taking any rain or any significant rain out of the forecast. We're never really thinking that way and never talked about it like that. But you can see you want the green shadings, the darker green, to really produce the beneficial rain we need. And of course, we're in a drought. We'll go over that. But notice dryer is just hanging out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, boom, boom, boom. South, there it is. We got the best chance of rain toward Key West, Miami as we head into late week. And that's really the old front that came through here, just kind of hanging down there. And as we take a look at next weekend, we'll have to keep an eye maybe on Saturday, but at this point, I still see a lot of dry air in place for us to, I don't see really any beneficial rain. So really the theme with me to pass on to you here, if you remember anything in this streaming show, first of all, you're great. Second of all, it looks like a warm and dry start to November. So moisture content, PWs, again, we're looking at all levels of the atmosphere. I put that line on the map. I like at least 1 3/4 inches of moisture to work with, or water vapor in the atmosphere. Not seeing it. We're not even close to that. So it's hard to believe. We have a front coming in tonight. So the reason I went 10% chance of rain today, 30% tonight, 10% tomorrow. Yeah, you guessed it. This is 0.71, 0.67. That's just not enough. And then even drier air comes in Tuesday. And then I said, we'll watch next week. And maybe some of that tropical moisture from the south could come up a little bit. And we've got our next front. So we'll increase it. Maybe you'll see a little bit of that in the 7 day where I'll increase the rain a little bit. But again, even next Sunday, that 1.46 inches of water vapor is below where I like seeing it for heavy rain. But it would be enough to cause some rain, maybe some scattered showers, but a little early on that. Our weekend, this weekend, in the next 2 days, really, as we go into Sunday into Monday, increasing clouds, turning warmer today. That's a snapshot of the radar. So if you look at the screen there, you're not seeing any green. So I have a legend there. You don't even see 1/10 of an inch. So keeping the rain chances low at 10% today, tonight, and tomorrow. Tonight, with the actual front, I did increase it just slightly while we're sleeping. I don't think we're going to see much in the way of rain. And then tomorrow, early clouds, increasing sunshine. The coolest day of the week, because we have that cold front, right? So a high of 71. Expected rainfall, it's a clean slate. It's a clean sweep. It's a royal flush for dry weather. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That includes all of us. All right, beautiful Brunswick to Waycross to Lake City to Jacksonville to St. Augustine and throughout the area. So here's the deal. All right, the change that we haven't seen much of. We've had one front after another, one nor'easter after another. This week, we got a ridge of high pressure that's starting to control our weather. So big high pressure heating us up. So what you're looking for on this model or map is the deeper reds and the oranges. So you can see it's the warm weather taking up much of the country. And yeah, we're now in November, and I'm not seeing in much of the way of blues or those deeper greens. That's some of your cooler fall weather, your true fall. But look at that. It just stays well north of us. And we have high pressure all the way through next weekend. That'll eventually move to the east, and you got a little bit of cool air spilling out into the Midwest, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. Yeah, a little bit. Nothing too impressive there, right? So that, again, goes with our weather theme. Now, how about this? One of my favorite themes is fall foliage. And for those taking that drive up into the Carolinas or maybe North Georgia, I was just in LJ a few weeks ago. Things are going to start lighting up here. I mean, we got some yellows. We've got some beautiful leaves. We got the maples starting to really take hold. But I did get some reports for folks coming from the Carolinas. The farther north you go, there's been more of a drought. So we're talking about Atlanta. Drought extends all the way down here into the west side and Duval. You see the deep red, that's extreme drought. Let's zoom right in here. And what tends to happen is if you don't have enough moisture or rainfall to the trees up to the north, those deciduous trees that we love going to see, all right, and there's aspens, let's not forget those, they usually turn color too fast, and then they fall right off the trees very quickly. So again, farther north, I'm not as optimistic about that fall foliage this year, especially as you get up toward North Carolina, although there's going to be some spots. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And you can see we got North Georgia. Now that we're in early November, it's been a little bit drier there. I would say still the best viewing would be in the next 10 days, 7 to 10 days, if you're heading up to Ellijay, North Georgia, up into the Blue Ridge Parkway. Still some beautiful fall foliage, and that does include some of those higher mountain areas and higher terrain, so it looks wonderful, and we've got great weather to do it. This would be the week. All right, I would do it this week. I said the next 7 to 10 days. This is the week to take advantage. Anytime from today all the way through next weekend. That'll be your time. All right, and then we'll continue to keep you updated. For us here at home, here it is. We talked about, I showed you the big red high pressure. I showed you the ridge. I showed you, yes, not any fronts to track. So what happens? Temperatures do soar here in Florida. We still have that strong sun here, and that strong sun angle, so much stronger than most cities across the country. And yeah, we love it, don't we? We got 71 tomorrow's our cool day, and then notice temperatures up into the 80s late week into the weekend. Right now, that's about right. I think that's right on cue. 79, 80 Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday. We do have that front coming Saturday, Sunday. Remember I showed you a little moisture increase, so maybe increase in some of those showers next weekend. I know we're trying to get through a couple of Sundays without rain, and then a little more fall-like. If you like the fall-like weather, it looks like fall comes in every Monday, and then we warm up for 3-4 days, and then it comes in every Monday. So this pattern is very interesting because I'm putting together the winter outlook, and we'll have much more on this winter outlook on our streaming shows coming up this week. And I do see, we're going to get these short-lived cold blasts, or I should call them cold snaps here in Florida, and then we're going to warm up. I don't see anything persistent this winter. I see the citrus industry happy. I don't see any big prolonged deep freezes here based on the pattern, okay? And as far as rain, one concern I have as we go into the spring is I still see it being drier and warmer than normal. Okay, so that 10-day giving us a little glimpse, not just of the next 10 days, but what we can expect for the winter. And then as far as our low temperatures go, yeah, I love this. This is classic fall where we are falling into the 40s inland, away from the water in the morning. It's still 50s, right, toward the beaches, but this is a beautiful pattern. Nothing too humid. Next Saturday, ahead of our next front may briefly be up closer to 60 for lows, but this is great stuff. So a little bonfire weather out there, but be careful because it's been dry. Now, all right, you ready to shift gears? And let's go talk tropics. All right, so November, it's here, and we are now 4 weeks away to the end of hurricane season. So no areas of formation expected. We look at a few clouds out toward the Azores, and yes, nothing going there. And then Cabo Verde Islands looking good, Canary Islands. We come back to the quiet Caribbean after that historic storm Melissa that we'll never forget. And of course, 185-mile-per-hour winds as a landfalling hurricane. That's the top of the list, okay? There's been none stronger since our records have been kept since 1851. Things to watch, still November. I would think if anything would develop, it would still be to the south toward those warmer water temperatures. Now, Melissa did churn up a lot of water down there, but we still have low to mid 80s. I don't like seeing the deep purples. But the longer we go into November, again, better chances of fronts and wind shear. So it tends to keep activity to the south. And my saying, we started the saying a few weeks ago right here on streaming. You remember what we were talking about? What happens in the Caribbean is likely going to stay in the Caribbean. All right, and we'll hold that theme for now. Okay, we take it day to day. 28 more days, and then we can breathe a sigh of relief. But for now, I would still say this is the area that we'll have to watch for most of the development. All right, so coming back, sharing the good news in the tropics, I've got to talk about the breaking news in the Prangley household. I'm a new dad. I'm a new father. So look to the left. There he is, my Cavapoo Cooper. Isn't he beautiful? 10 weeks old. He was born August 9th in Springfield, Missouri. And I want to thank my daughter, Abby, and my son, James, for bringing him all the way from Missouri. I mean, they drove him here, and he's something. Full of energy. And I promised some folks in the neighborhood they want to see him here on the show, and we'll bring him in. He loves running around. He's spunky, and he just loves being outside. So we'll do a walk soon, Cooper. So Cooper there, and let's not forget the kids, the Sharks. The Bartram soccer was going on this weekend, and I said, hey, it's going to be great for all the coaches and the parents out there. So those are future stars of our country, the soccer stars there at Bartram with those blue skies. So from Cooper to soccer, what a weekend it has been. And as we look at, we don't want to forget about the fish, right? I was out on a boat yesterday, and we talk about fishing. I didn't get to fish. I was just heading to the game. But Jeremy Alvarez, our Captain Alvarez, said the catch of the day, speckled trout. And if you haven't been out today, you can still take the boat out. It looks good. We just have a light chop on the Intercoastal. And shrimp is their feast. They like feasting on shrimp. So you want to catch the big speckled trout, head out there and enjoy. We take a look at that fishing weather. We will have that wind out of the northeast at 5 to 10. Don't let all those green lines fool you. It's not going to be a strong wind. And seas about 2 feet. Light on the Intracoastal. Ocean temperature, on the boat we had yesterday, the temperature registered 68. And the river temperature we use here, First Coast News, has 71. So keep in mind, the ocean temperatures and river temperatures really hovering in the upper 60s to near 70. So I guess the spotted sea trout are loving it. And if you look at the left panel, some clouds this afternoon, but I don't see any offshore showers. The rain's really coming from the west and the southwest today. So first areas to see some of that rain, if we do get any, would be sprinkles maybe after sunset, this evening perhaps, with that front getting closer. But looking good for all the fishing. We put it into motion there, and that northeast wind will switch more to the north tomorrow in the northwest. Questions? Viewer questions we've had. What is a king tide? We talk about that a lot. I tried to make it easy here to see. So we got the sun, the moon, and earth all aligned with an increased gravitational pull. So you have to realize the moon puts a gravitational pull on the earth, and so does the sun. Okay, most of it's from the moon because it's closer, but the sun has a big bearing on it as well, and they cause higher than normal tides. So this time of year, they're lined up, okay, and it's right around the really equinoxes that you see the higher than normal tides. Based on how they're lined up. And we have a next super moon coming this week, which will be on Wednesday. So it's something we'll keep an eye on. You can see we're going to have king tides. We have a super moon, which really is going to be the moon closest to the earth for the entire year. So it's going to appear to be a little larger, a little brighter, and the tides will be affected a little bit more. So maybe 1 to 2 foot tides above average as we look at what that king tide does. And I talked about that gravitational pull from the moon. Okay, so the ocean's pulled by the pull of the sun and the moon. You can see I put the little yellows, it's our tides, our high tides. And there you go. So you got the moon, and then you add in the sun and the moon. Whew, pretty impressive, right? All right, that's why we call them king tides. And we'll have to watch for this week. If we do get anything significant, I'm not expecting flood advisories, but I think the highest tides would come in Tuesday and maybe the first part of Wednesday. All right, so a good depiction there of what's going on in the atmosphere. And this is not a nor'easter coming our way. This is just a lighter northeast wind. So if you look at the big picture, we're not looking for the flood or beach erosion concerns that we've had from these king tides over the last couple of months. Good news there, right? Okay, so you see the winds kind of more in check out of the north and northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and maybe a few higher gusts. And for Captain Russ, maybe some 15 to 20 knotters out there. All right, so we're going to wrap this up in the next couple minutes. You just joined me. I'm meteorologist Mike Pringley here, streaming on First Coast News Plus. A delight to be with you, and it's going to be a serious delight. You'll see a few high clouds come in this afternoon. They'll just make everything more beautiful. We showed the dew points coming up, but the air's just too dry. So right now, rain chances stay low. We'll keep that high temperature to 75. Your most accurate and up-to-date 7-day forecast. Drum roll, please. We could spend a couple minutes on this as we finish this out. Katrina here. Low rain chances. This is the theme. Warm and dry start to November. The next 2 days will be the cooler days. We should be at 77, 78 this time of year. I see 75 today, 71 tomorrow. And our last front of a series of fronts that have been coming through the area. So that's why I put in a 30% chance, really a very low chance of rain this evening. And then tomorrow behind the front, to see how the wind switches to the northwest at 10 to 20. Get out the fall sweaters and boots because we're not going to need them much this week because we warm nicely up Tuesday, Wednesday, mid to upper 70s. And then there's that lighter northeast wind. So king tides should not be much of a trouble at all. And then as we go into Thursday, Friday, there it is. We've got the 80s back in the forecast with that east to southeast flow, and then the wind switches southwest ahead of our next front on Saturday. But right now across the country, not seeing that polar air really make a move here on the deep south. All right, so we're seeing it farther north. We had a much cooler than average October, okay, and in November is going to be much different to start. It's going to be familiar in that it'll be dry. We need to water the plants, but keep in mind November much warmer, and I'm just hoping by Thanksgiving, which we said we are 25 days away, that maybe we can shake this pattern up again and get to the cooler that we saw in October. But for now, we look outside to our beautiful city and get out there, enjoy, and as I like to say,